Your emotions are the steering wheel of your life. They are the silent currents that shape your decisions, determine your reactions, and mold your destiny. Until you learn to control them, you will be a slave to them. But once you do, you become the master of your fate. Let me tell you something that may strike you hard. The vast majority of people you know live in emotional chaos. They respond, they react, they get triggered, they get offended, they get anxious, they get angry, they get depressed, and they allow these temporary feelings to determine the permanent direction of their life. And the price they pay: missed opportunities, failed relationships, financial disaster, and spiritual emptiness. Now ask yourself, have you been living under the tyranny of your emotions? Do you get upset too easily? Do you let people disturb your peace? Do you allow failure to paralyze you? If so, it's time to wake up. You cannot build a successful life on an unstable emotional foundation. You cannot make rational decisions if your mind is clouded by emotional fog. You cannot rise to your greatness if your emotions are pulling you down like gravity. Let's call things by their real names. Fear is the great destroyer of dreams. Anger is the assassin of relationships. Envy is the poison that kills gratitude. Worry is the thief of time, and doubt is the jailer of faith. These emotions, unchecked, can keep a person in mental and spiritual poverty forever. But here is the truth that will set you free. Emotions can be controlled. They are not fixed. You are not your feelings are responses. But you, my friend, are the one who chooses how to respond. You don't have to shout when you're angry. You don't have to retreat when you're afraid. You don't have to sulk when you're disappointed. You have the power to respond with wisdom instead of reaction. Now let me be clear. This doesn't mean you should suppress your emotions. No, that's not control. That's denial. And denial is dangerous. What I'm telling you is to master them, to acknowledge them, study them, and then channel them. Take anger, for example. Do you know how many people have destroyed their lives in one moment of uncontrolled anger? One word spoken in rage can cost a marriage. One act of fury can end a career. One hateful post online can destroy a reputation that took years to build. But that same anger, when controlled and redirected, can become fuel. It can drive you to make changes, take action, and fight for justice. It's not the emotion, it's what you do with it. The greatest inventors, leaders, entrepreneurs, and visionaries did not lack emotion. On the contrary, they were often deeply emotional individuals, but they learned to discipline their emotions like a warrior sharpens a blade. They didn't let failure make them bitter. They didn't let criticism break them. They didn't let fear stop them. They felt it, but they didn't obey it. Now I want you to listen very carefully. Your emotions are trying to teach you something. Fear is a signal, anger is a message, sadness is a whisper. But you must be wise enough to interpret those signals without being controlled by them. If you feel fear, ask why. Is it because you're stepping outside your comfort zone? Then that fear might be a sign you're growing. If you feel anger, is it because something you value is being threatened? Then maybe it's time to act. But with strategy, not rage. Emotions are information. Use them. Don't be used by them. Think about how many battles are lost every day simply because people lose control of themselves. How many marriages fall apart because partners can't control their tongues? How many dreams die because someone gave up in despair instead of pushing through? How many opportunities are missed because someone was too afraid to take the risk? All because of unchecked emotion. I've seen men destroy their businesses because of pride. I've seen women abandon their dreams because of doubt. I've seen people walk away from gold because they were too impatient to keep digging. Emotion can cost you everything, unless you learn to rule it. Now let me ask you, what rules you today? Are you ruled by discipline or desire, by reason or reaction, by calm or chaos? Because whatever rules you owns you. And if your emotions rule you, they own your choices, your peace, your relationships, your future. But here's the empowering truth. You can decide today, right now, to change that. You can become the kind of person who remains calm under pressure, who smiles when insulted, who acts when afraid, who forgives when wronged, who stays focused when tempted. This is not fiction. This is mastery. And it begins with a decision. You must begin to train yourself. Just like a muscle, emotional control grows with use. Start by observing your emotional triggers, who or what makes you angry, what situations cause you to shrink back in fear, what words make you defensive, what people make you feel insecure. Write them down, study them. They are your training ground. When you catch yourself reacting emotionally, pause, take a breath, ask, is this response helping or hurting me? Is this how the best version of me would act? Ask yourself what the person you want to become would do in that moment, and then do it. Act as if you already are that person, because the moment you act with control, you become that person. You are not your past, you are your choices, and do not expect perfection. You will stumble. You will sometimes react before you reflect. That's part of growth. The goal is not to become emotionless, but to become emotionally intelligent. To become someone who has emotions but is not ruled by them. And let me tell you, the moment you begin to live like this, people will notice. You will walk differently, speak differently, make decisions with more clarity. You will begin to attract respect, opportunities, peace, and yes, success, because success doesn't follow chaos, it follows order, and emotional control is the highest form of personal order. You must become unshakable. When someone tries to provoke you, stay calm. When something goes wrong, stay steady. When your plan fails, smile and try another. When fear visits, invite it to sit quietly while you take action anyway. This is how leaders are made. This is how legacies are built. This is how lives are transformed, not through sudden miracles, but through daily self-discipline. Control your emotions, and you control your focus. Control your focus, and you control your actions. Control your actions, and you control your destiny. There are people right now living in misery not because of circumstances, but because of how they responded emotionally to those circumstances. They gave in to hopelessness. They gave in to bitterness. They surrendered to fear, and now they walk around defeated. Don't let that be your story. Life will throw storms at you, some bigger than others, but your power lies in how you respond. You can't stop the storm, but you can become the captain who sails through it. And don't fall for the lie that other people have it easier. They don't. The difference is not in the waves, it's in the mindset. The most successful people you admire have emotional scars too, but they've learned to turn their pain into purpose, their fear into fire, their loss into lessons, their anger into action. They've learned to say, this feeling does not define me, I define it. So train your mind to be stronger than your emotions. Train your discipline to override your impulse. Train your peace to be louder than your panic. This is not just about motivation. This is about transformation. The person who learns to control their emotions is the person who learns to control their life. They move through the world with intention, not reaction, with clarity, not confusion, with power, not passivity. You don't need to be the smartest, the richest, or the most talented, but if you are the one who remains calm, centered, and composed, you will outlast and outperform nearly everyone around you, because the world is full of reactors. But leaders, they respond, they pause, they choose, and they win. So stand up tall in your mind today. Say to yourself, I will no longer be a slave to fear, to anger, to insecurity, to doubt. I am in charge now. My mind is my fortress. My emotions serve me, not the other way around. I choose peace. I choose power. I choose purpose. Because once you control your emotions, you will find that life begins to open to you. The right people show up. The right opportunities appear, the right doors swing wide, not because the world changed, but because you did, and when you change, everything changes. Now imagine yourself walking into a room where everyone is tense, emotions flaring like wildfire. and yet you are calm, composed, and clear-minded. That kind of presence is rare, and it commands respect without ever raising a voice. People instinctively trust the one who is not easily shaken. Why? Because emotional control signals inner strength. It tells the world, I know who I am. I don't need to prove it. I choose my response. You cannot expect others to respect your leadership if you can't lead yourself. You cannot expect to gain influence if you lose your cool at the first sign of conflict. The one who governs himself stands taller than the one who tries to rule over others. A man may build an empire and lose it in a moment of pride or anger. A woman may inspire millions and still sabotage herself through insecurity or fear. Talent may get you noticed, but self-control will keep you in the room. And this is why your emotional discipline is not just a personal skill. It is a competitive advantage. In business, the one who can negotiate without being intimidated, who can handle rejection without losing momentum, who can make decisions under pressure without being clouded by emotion, that person will lead, that person will win. The marketplace rewards clarity, chaos costs money. Let's talk about relationships, personal, professional, romantic, and spiritual. They rise or fall not because of luck, but because of emotional maturity. The one who can listen without interrupting, who can disagree without disrespect, who can apologize without pride, who can stay patient when wronged. This person becomes the anchor in every storm. Emotional control builds trust, and trust is the currency of every great relationship. If you find yourself constantly in drama, always explaining your actions, frequently misunderstood, or surrounded by turmoil, it's not the world, my friend. It's your emotions directing the show, and once you see that, you have a decision to make. Will you continue to be the actor in a script you didn't write? Or will you become the author? The moment you stop reacting and start responding with intention, you reclaim your life. Every time you choose to remain calm instead of lashing out, you gain power. Every time you choose patience over panic, logic over impulse, strategy over emotion, you rise, and the more you do it, the easier it becomes. Emotional control becomes your new default. Your mind sharpens. Your energy centers, your spirit steadies. Understand this. You are training every day, whether you realize it or not. Every time you explode with anger, you train your nervous system to do it again. Every time you retreat in fear, you reinforce the habit of avoidance. But the opposite is also true. Every time you respond with control, you rewire your brain for mastery. Every calm breath, every thoughtful choice, every moment of restraint is a brick in the foundation of your future strength. There's no shortcut to this. You don't read a book and suddenly become emotionally unshakable. You practice, you get tested, life throws you situations designed not to break you but to refine you, that person who insulted you. That was your test. That delay that frustrated you, your test. That failure that crushed your expectations, another test. And with every test, you are given a chance to react like your old self or to rise like your future self. And your future self, oh, the power that version of you holds, a person who doesn't flinch in chaos, who doesn't beg for validation, who doesn't explode in anger or collapse in despair. That person makes decisions not based on fleeting moods, but on long-term vision. That person gets results, not because of luck, but because of relentless focus and emotional discipline. Let me give you something practical. Create what I call an emotional map. Identify your triggers. Write them down, then write how you typically respond, and then how you want to respond. For every negative pattern, create a new plan. When I feel angry, I will breathe and delay my response. When I feel fear, I will speak courage into myself. When I feel overwhelmed, I will focus on one task, not 20. This isn't fluff. This is rewiring your reality. And remember, most of your emotions are habits. They're not truth. They're training. You've been conditioned to react a certain way over years, maybe decades. So stop believing every feeling you have Some of them are lies. You feel like you're not good enough. That's a lie. You feel like you'll fail again. Another lie. You feel like people are against you. Maybe, but more often, it's just your own unresolved pain projecting itself. Learn to question your emotions, interrogate them, don't bow to them. You must understand that emotional control is not suppression, it is selection. It is choosing what deserves your energy, your words, your reaction. Most things don't. Most arguments are not worth your peace. Most offenses are not worth your energy. Most distractions are not worth your attention. The more you grow, the less you respond to everything. Silence becomes your strength, detachment becomes your superpower, and peace becomes your new home. You will still feel. You will still experience pain, anger, fear, disappointment, but you won't be driven by them. You will carry them without letting them control your direction. You will have pain, but you won't be paralyzed by it. You will experience fear, but you won't submit to it. You will notice anger, but you won't act on it impulsively. And that is the difference between the average person and the person who lives at the highest level. And let me remind you, you are not here to be average. You were not born to be a puppet pulled by emotional strings. You were born to lead yourself, to stand tall, to move with intention, to act, not react, and every time you do, you step deeper into your potential. You begin to feel what real freedom is, not the absence of problems, but the presence of inner power. There are people who appear to have everything, money, status, connections, but they are slaves to their emotions. One rude comment ruins their whole day, one rejection breaks their confidence, one failure sends them into depression. That is not freedom, that is bondage, and the chains are invisible, emotional chains, and only you hold the key. You must remind yourself daily, I am not a slave to my emotions, I am the master of my mind. I respond, I don't react. I think, I don't panic. I choose, I don't chase. Emotional control is my weapon, my armor, my power, because the one who controls their emotions does not just survive, they thrive. So now the choice is in your hands. You can go on living at the mercy of every mood, every insult, every delay, every fear, or you can rise above it. You can reclaim your power by mastering the one thing that truly governs your destiny, your emotional state. Because the man or woman who controls how they feel controls what they do, and the one who controls what they do controls what they become. This is not theory, this is truth. Your future, your success, your peace, your relationships, your legacy, all of it hinges on your ability to lead yourself when emotions try to take over. If you can stay calm in crisis, patient in the process, and steady in the storm, there is nothing you cannot accomplish. Let the world spin in chaos, let others chase distractions, fall into drama, collapse under pressure, but you will walk forward, mind sharp, heart steady, soul focused. You will no longer be a puppet of your past or a prisoner of your feelings. You will be a builder of your own destiny, because when you control your emotions, you control your life, and when you control your life, you become unstoppable.